Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures,
the podcast that fuels your passion for obstacle course racing,
running, and all things adventurous.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or a weekend warrior,
we've got news updates as well as interviews with athletes
and other key members of our athletic community.
As a weekly show since 2017, we have covered everything from
championship and virtual races
to fundraising events and FKTs. And now, here are your hosts,
Michael Stefano and Caitlin Ritter.
Standing on the corner, lost all my clothes.
Hey guys, it's Michael Stefano.
And Caitlin Ritter.
And Caitlin, how was your weekend?
It was low-key. You had the man cold, so we didn't really do anything.
Man cold, but I thought it was what?
COVID.
I thought it was a goddamn brain infection after I was talking last week about my eye infection.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, beware of fevers. Beware of bad headaches on that side. Beware of this and that. And I was starting to get all those, and I'm like, oh no.
Well, fair. When I had the flu, I thought I was going to turn into RFK, so I get it.
Yeah. So you just, rolled around in raw sewage and got all better.
That's exactly what I did. No modern medicine here.
Nope. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Oh, by the way, I'm feeling better now, so thanks. Although I probably won't be doing the race tomorrow because I don't want to overextend myself. But yeah, shout out to our sponsors.
Shout out Mudgear, use code ADVENTURE for 15% off your next Mudgear purchase. And Caterpie, use code OCR Report 20 for 20% off your next Caterpie purchase. And use the same code OCR Report 20 for 20% off your next Spartan, Deca, or Tough Mudder.
Perfect. This episode is late, but it's not the first episode of the month yet. So we're going to thank the $5+ Patreon supporters.
Jason Dupree, Samantha Thompson, Bradley Keel, Charlotte Engelman, Aaron Grindstaff, Laura and Stephen Ritter, Hank and Arlene Stefano, Cheryl Miller, Jessica Johnson, Christopher Hoover, Kevin Gregory Jr., Evan Irick, Brent George, Logan Nagel, Asa Connington, Seth Renderknech, and Robert Landman.
And Steve Bacon said he's going to fix the Patreon issue. I think his card changed. And he said he might be joining as the 10 stage. $10 tier, the backstage pass. Be sure to join on the website and not on the app, because the app will make you pay additional fees because that's the way things are. And shout out to the OCR Report for being a great home for us on the internet.
And to Will Hicks,
the Podfather. Check it out over at the OCRreport.com. Currently, I guess we're all getting each other's swag off the website. That's what it seems like.
I'm sad that I don't have a quote on the website because I have a couple of great one-liners.
Yeah, well, you can add what you want. And a shout out to our sponsored athletes:
Javier Escobar, Kelly Sullivan, Ryan Brizzalara, Joshua Reed, and Kevin Gregory.
Perfect. And poll results, I don't believe we had a poll this week, so we can skip that. We're also going to skip Meme of the Week and head right on over to quick news, starting with this first one that you sent me about the Inmate Half Marathon.
A running club in Utah hosts a half marathon inside the state prison, which I thought was really cool. It says the Fit From Within program promotes wellness, accountability, and preparation for reintegration.
Perfect. All right. And you had to take my phone because apparently yours is dead?
No, I'm logged out of Instagram for the rest of the night.
Oh, that's right. Next up, Spartan is looking for a presenting sponsor. This comes to us from Obstacle Racing Media.
Spartan is looking for a North American presenting sponsor for 2025. As they begin partnership conversations, here are some of the key stats and selling points they're highlighting. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
12 million lifetime finishers, 14.5 million digital follows, 250 events annually across 40 countries, included in the 2028 Olympics via the modern pentathlon.
Yeah, I don't think that one should count.
No, I don't think so either. Past partners, Reebok, Samsung, Icy Hot, Harley-Davidson, Rain, and Athletic Brewing. North American partner packages include a category
exclusivity,
logo lockup, on-course signage, finish line branding, and national media. If you want to know more, email brian.cox@spartan.com.
Great, Caitlin's got the giggles. This is also from Obstacle Racing Media. Some good news from Savage Race.
Participants in this Savage Race series was up 39% since 2023. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love seeing that. And this was a news story that I heard from I Am a Spartan podcast, where they talked to Dan McDonald and Joey, McLamory, I want to say? Yes, nailed it.
Dan McDonald from Spartan Race and Joey McLamory from Dealers of a Hope Foundation are talking with the I Am Spartan podcast about the new Para Championship race that will take place in Orlando, Florida on November 9th. This race will be a Spartan Super and will place top 3 finishers and top 3 in each division.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Highly recommend that you go and listen to that one because it was a really good interview, and I was really interested to learn more about it too. It might be a little far for us to go and cover, but I hope that event goes well. And then I Am a Spartan podcast also posted this, which is a good notice for a lot of people too.
The 2026 passes are available. Looks like the same benefits as last year for both the Ultra and regular pass.
Yes, and these are the season passes for Spartan Race. And in the final news story, this comes to us from Patrick Patron, who we haven't talked about in the show for a little bit.
Patrick posted, she said, "You're so cute," and then she said yes.
Yeah, there's worse things she could have said, so congratulations to them. 5 secret links down below, so let's get to what this episode is all about. So I honestly had a few things planned that didn't work out yet, but I bumped a future episode idea up earlier. So I wanted to have Jeff on the show for his own episode because our paths have crossed at the New England OCR Expo, World's Toughest Mudder, Spartan New Jersey Ultra, and he seems like a really cool guy, and I wanted to learn more about him and hear about how things are going with his new gym. So let's get to the interview with Jeff. So we'll start off with your name and where you're from.
Yeah, so name's Jeff Moulton. Originally from North Adams, Massachusetts. Currently, over the last 4 years, me and Bree bought a home in Vernon, Connecticut. So now we're in Vernon, Connecticut, and it's good. So far, so good.
Nice. How's the home life?
It's good. It's good. We got very lucky. We were one of the few people that bought in like 2021, got like a beautiful interest rate. Everything was great. Now it's funny because, we want to start a family sooner than later. So, and we still have plenty of room, but every time we look at houses, it's like, we don't want to lose that rate. We don't want to lose that rate. We don't want to go bigger, but we've been lucky. Other than a few things, we redid the bathroom, little stuff like that. It's been good. It's definitely nice. And I think it's, you lose it. We used to live in these little kind of sketchy little apartments. And I think there's some days you forget you got this house that how rougher it was 5 years ago. And now it's like setting back. It's like, it's pretty sweet to just be like, wow, okay, things are good. And it's easy to lose track of that, I think, like sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. We bought our house in summer of 2020. Summer of 2019. So right before the pandemic.
Yep.
And my interest rate is like 3%. And I'm thinking the same thing. Like we have plenty of house. Like I was only expecting for this to be like a 5-year house. I might die in this house depending on how things go with everything right now.
I know Bree wants a bigger house, but like we have 3-bedroom. I have an office. If we have a kid, so there's plenty of room.
Sure.
It's just a matter of, be here for a while. If the opportunity comes financially, we're in a good spot. If there's a house that comes up and the interest rate isn't perfect and we can always refinance it, but it's like the house, then we'll do the move. But right now, like there's no reason for us to go anywhere, like logistically, financially, like anything. And then the gym's down the street now. She's like 20 minutes from work. So it's a good area for us to be in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Glad to hear it. So I want to hear, tell me about, I think we should start with your athletic background.
Yeah. So funny enough, always an athletic kid growing up. Baseball was my sport, played a little bit of football, but like my dad had me at a young age, like playing baseball, playing football, kicking a soccer ball. So really, really athletic kid growing up. When I got into high school, baseball was my main sport, but like really, really good growing up in baseball. But in high school, it's interesting, really lacked confidence in myself, even though I was one of the better players. And didn't do that well in high school in baseball. Junior year, broke my femur, had rods put in, taken out. So that was a huge injury, huge setback. And honestly, like played my senior year a little bit in baseball, but other than that, wasn't that great. Didn't live up to like the dream expectations. I was a big Red Sox fan. Nomar Garciaparra was my guy. I wanted to play shortstop for the Red Sox. And, it pretty quickly deteriorated. And then post high school, I was 19 and just wanted to build some confidence. And that's a whole nother conversation, but like lacked confidence in high school, didn't feel good about myself, very insecure because I missed so much school. I didn't get good grades. So I didn't feel like I was accomplishing a lot or really successful. So I joined a gym at like 19 and I remember Planet Fitness going in, just doing this absurd workout thinking about it now. It was like the same workout 2 days in a row, and then I'd rest. And then I'd run on a treadmill a little. And then me and my buddy Andy had this idea to go eventually we want to run a half marathon. And we eventually, like every day, we ran a little more. And eventually we got shin splints and then stopped. But that was my first inkling to the gym. And then we started lifting weights because of how miserable that experience was. And then that kind of kicked off of, I was the skinny, scrawny kid. Now I'm building muscle. Now I'm getting stronger. Now I'm starting to feel good about myself. I'm getting attention from women. I'm feeling myself a little. And that kind of grew my confidence, made me feel like I was good at something, because it was a long time since I was really good at anything and I wasn't a good student. And then that kind of led over a couple years, 21, 22, I should say 20, 21, 20, and 21. I joined a gym. I just wanted to work at a gym. I remember vividly saying, I want to work at a gym. I don't care how much it pays me. I want to work at a gym. And I took a job at a Retro Fitness as like an assistant manager, paid $10 an hour. But then that started the excitement of working out, which fast forward a little bit, went into getting certified as a personal trainer at 22, going to do my associate's degree, going to do my bachelor's degree. And then in that time, really got involved with bodybuilding, started competing in bodybuilding. And then at 26, won my pro card as a bodybuilder. I hated running. I hated everything about running, did not want to run, pick heavy things up, put them down, get jacked. That's what I was about. But at like 26, 27, I had a big injury again in my low back. And it wasn't like a injury where I couldn't train, necessarily anymore, but it was a bad injury, low back issue. I missed time in the gym, but I realized I couldn't train the same. And then years of dealing with that and ups and downs mentally led to, like, when I got to like 28, 29, and 30, I was like, I can't compete anymore at the level I want. So I needed a new thing. And that's when I started to do like a half marathon, a marathon, and starting to just prove to myself I could do those things, which led to the weightlifting background. And that led into OCR and Spartan. And then it'd be like, I'm a okay runner, but all of a sudden I'm a above average OCR person. So that's what kind of led me into OCR. It was through bodybuilding, injury, finding something new to challenge myself, and then realized I could be decent at it. And that led me to do that and all the events that I did over the last handful of years.
Yeah. So a couple things to unpack there. The first injury that you talked about where you had to have rods installed, what was the nature of that injury? So
snowboarding. So I snowboarded when I was like 13, 14, 15. And when I was 15, maybe going on 16, came around a quarter, Jiminy Peak. And that was in Massachusetts. So on my heels, turning a corner, someone fell, and then they washed me out. So basically they fell and then took my legs out. We both slid and we were racing down the mountain. I was in control, but someone took me out and then hit the tree, kind of wrapped around the tree. So hit it on the side, wrapped around, hit my head, had a helmet and stuff, but broke the femur, had a concussion, got brought down the mountain. And, you're a kid, you don't know, you go to the hospital, it's bad. They put you in traction on the mountain, they're pulling and trying to get the bones to line back up and then put you in traction and lock it up. And I get to the hospital. I remember my dad, zooming there. And I remember him saying, be careful, don't get hurt. And then he gets a call that I hit a tree. And I thought it was like, give me a brace, let me go home. This is 2 days before Christmas. Then next thing you know, you're staying the night, you're staying a couple days in the hospital, you're having surgery. You're going to be either for 6 months, you're going to have to have rods put in. 6 months later, they're going to come out. And that was just because they didn't want to go through my growth plate. So it really was like a full year of rehab, like getting back to like somewhat normal. But I also was so young that I didn't do the rehab correctly. I didn't take it serious. So I still have, to this day, ankle issues, hip issues where you compensate and scar tissue and stuff. But, I'm definitely like above average in most things still. But you work around it. But it was brutal. It was a brutal, long process. It's wild to look back now because we're talking 18, 19 years ago, which feels like insane to look back on.
Yeah, I mean, I loved skiing. I haven't gone in a while, but that can absolutely take you out. There's a lot of people that have died from getting wrapped around trees. And you said you got a concussion with a helmet. Little PSA, everybody keep wearing your goddamn helmets.
Dude, it's... And I love the goggles. I love the helmet. I thought it looked cool. I thought it was like cool with a helmet. Same thing with motorcycles in Connecticut. You don't have to wear a helmet. Like, I think I look so much cooler with like a dark helmet on with like the mat. I think it's nuts. Now as I'm like 34 going on 35, I think it's insane.
Yeah. You're not indestructible, and your brain
No.
is your everything.
Yeah, yeah. And I got lucky. I had a bad concussion. And I remember too, I didn't get knocked out at all. So when you hit it and it's like this woozy, like, whoa, and then like just throbbing, and it was nasty. And then because of the concussion and I just ate, they couldn't do surgery for a while. So it was a lot of just like staying up. They tried to give me Percocet and pills. And I remember I took a half a Percocet, threw up instantly. And then that was the last time I took it. And I was just some Advil. As for 6 months, I didn't take any meds and stuff. It was just Advil and rest and playing video games pretty much for 6 months.
Wild. And then the big thing I wanted to get into was your background in bodybuilding. So I know very little about bodybuilding. It's a very foreign thing to me, in that it's like it's very subjective in nature. So talk about that a little bit more. Like, how did you find that? What is your gold card? I don't know any of that.
Yeah. So the pro card side of it. So I got it's not on the screen, but I got a bunch of cool little bodybuilding trophies over here. But it's funny, man. I think the reason I draw to bodybuilding, the first thing is because it's subjective when it comes to if you win or lose. But when it comes to building your physique, it takes a ton of discipline, and it's something that you have complete control over. Kind of like running and stuff like that. You can control it, but from a bodybuilding standpoint, if you're like, I want to build my arms, I want to build my legs, it's like, I got to get enough protein. I got to get my nutrition on point. I have to work really hard in the gym. I have to get sleep. And there's an inside and out in discipline. And to me, bodybuilding in different ways takes a lot more discipline than training endurance. Endurance is like a mental warfare that you have to go out every day and put in tons of miles. And that's a mental warfare side. But it's really like fuel your workouts, grind it out, dig it, put in the miles, and then kind of shut off. Where like the bodybuilding side, there was a different like nutritional side to it. Like you had to get the same amount of calories every day. You had to be at a surplus, enough protein. There was like a nutritional side that was like a huge piece of the puzzle. But I love that control that I had. And it's like I put in the work, I get to eat the food, I do the sleep, the results come. But from the bodybuilding side, the subjectivity side is interesting. So for me, it was just how far could I push myself? Same thing with OCRs. What are you capable of? And it takes time. You're building a pound of muscle a month, if that, month over month, year over year. And it was fun to just see that progress. And then as you get into the bodybuilding world, you're just trying to build as much muscle as you can. And then hypothetically, let's say you want to do a bodybuilding show and you've been working out really hard, you're looking at 16, 20 weeks, 24 weeks of tracking your calories, tracking your macros, hitting your workouts, and slowly trying to lose a half a pound to a pound a week for that extended period of time. So you have all these controls you need. What is your steps? What is your activity? How many calories you coming in? Are you getting enough protein intake? Are you fueling your workouts enough? And all that discipline just to slowly maintain as much muscle as possible. Because the big thing with bodybuilding is if you lose muscle or lose body fat slowly, you have to be in a small deficit. So you really have to know it's coming in. If you lose weight rapidly, like the Biggest Loser and things like that, you're going to lose a lot of muscle mass. So you had to know the numbers to lose it very slow. And then when it becomes stepping on a stage, so you diet for 16, 20, 24 weeks, you get to single digit body fat percentage. And then the day of the show, you're basically in a line on a stage in a Speedo with 7-9 other guys, maybe 27 total. My first show had 27 guys. And you're just going through the Arnold Schwarzenegger poses. And they're just judging you like how big your muscles are, how lean you are. So it's very subjective in the aspect that your physiques look different, but there's an eye to like see how much muscle you have. So one guy comes in leaner, one guy comes in bigger, like who do you reward? And as you do it enough, you can get like an eye for it. But for me, I was never the biggest guy, but I would be more disciplined and I would diet longer and slower and more tedious. And that's how I ended up winning shows, because I would step on stage in these 4 or 5% body fat range where a lot of people didn't have the discipline. They do a cheat meal. They'd eat too many calories. They missed cardio sessions. They missed workouts because it's not healthy. I think kind of like you look at these guys that do 100 milers, 200 milers, 300 milers. It's not healthy at that level, So bodybuilding, like guys, testosterone levels plummet. Your hormones are jacked up for a period of time. Your libido's gone. You're hungry. You're tired. You're exhausted. You're fatigued. And everyone's like, you look so sick. So you're getting rewarded to go into like a rough place and an unhealthy place. So a big thing, even this, and I think it goes into just endurance sports in general, or fat loss journeys, or body composition journeys, or fitness as a whole, is how mental this is. And you have to be in such a good headspace to go into these journeys, because it becomes obsessive and it can be unhealthy if you don't have a good space going in. So it's subjective. But at the end of the day, if you're the leanest guy, you have the most muscle, and you know how to pose, it's like stage presence. You're like a ballet dancer on stage in a Speedo, but jacked and lean. You know, it's kind of like that thing.
Yeah. It makes me think of what Josh Fiore said to my wife before World's Toughest Mudder, is that, like, you know, the training's done. It's just a celebration of fitness, kind of like the show is just that.
And it happens so quick. The thing about endurance, like you said, Worlds, it's 24 hours of grinding and excitement. A bodybuilding show, you might be on stage for like 20 minutes through the whole day. And you just did 6 to 10, 6 months, let's say, of dieting really slow to get on a stage for a handful of minutes at a time. It's crazy. It's crazy and then at that point, you have no control of what happens. You can do what you do, but at the end of the day, like, the thing about bodybuilding is you show up and you probably know within about a minute of being on stage who's going to be the top guys. Or like these endurance events, which is what I liked about Worlds, you might not be the best athlete, but the longer the race goes, the best athletes aren't always the ones that last the longest. Like, do they have the mental game to get there? And that's what the OCR stuff, why everyone asks me, you only do a couple races a year, and they're mostly big ones. And I don't do a lot of them because I want to do good at them. And for me, it's like, I want to outwill the guy. I don't run 7-minute miles. I run like 8, 9, 10-minute miles. But if I can beat a lot of those guys in the ultras, because I can suffer a little bit more. And that's just, it's a little ego, but that's just the longer it goes, I think I'm willing to suffer and push a little harder, because I can't sustain the same pace potentially. Yeah. So, yeah.
When it comes to getting into bodybuilding, what's the community like? Were you welcome? Because OCR, everyone talks about the community, how that's fantastic. But on one hand, I could kind of see bodybuilding being isolating, but at the same time, like a community of like-minded people. So what was that like?
Dude, it's funny because there's a stereotype around these jack dudes in the gym. They're all 99% of them are teddy bears, because like OCR, it's like the Josh Fiore's, the world, the Ruckos, all these guys, right? They're all the super nice guys. They're passing you on these courses over and over again, but like, dude, nice job. Keep it up. Good, like that. And I think there's a mutual respect. The better the bodybuilder, the better the athlete, the more that they understand the work that goes into it, and how terrifying. You want to talk about vulnerability, and you talk about insecurity. Step on a Speedo on stage in front of 100, 500, 1,000 people, pose, and then let them nitpick you. And then so how it works is like you'll put 7 on a stage, and if you're dead center in the middle, you're crushing. But they'll start moving you around in first, second, and like stagger you. So if you get moved out, they're like, you basically suck. You're moving out to the outside. You're in 7th. So you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable situation. So I think in the back, before you get on stage, everyone's like, it might be a little quietness because everyone's nervous, but everyone's like, do you want this? Because it's called pumping up. I'm backstage, like you're trying to get a pump in the gym. You get the arms swollen and stuff. You're doing that in the back. Everyone's like, you need this, you want that. So it is a really, really supportive community, and I think there's a mutual respect, because also I think why it's so good. A mutual respect are so good for most people with others is because they're outcasted and most of their family doesn't understand why they're dieting. So I think just like someone doesn't want to run, like, why would you ever run 100 miles? Well, because it's amazing to see what you can do. Why would you weigh your food out and diet and track every calorie, everything going on for 6 months, and step on a stage in a Speedo and rub tan all over yourself and flex in front of people, right? But it's not about that, and it's not even about the positioning at the end of the day. Like, winning is what you want to do, but at the end of the day, it's the same concept. It's the journey and to see what you're capable of. And when you have the days you're exhausted, the days you're tired, the days you're sore, and you got to go get 12,000 steps in, and you got to get a half-hour cardio in, and you got nothing in the tank, and you're hungry because you're already restricted on food. So it's kind of like this, like, suffering. It's suffering on purpose for a goal. And a lot of people struggle with that. But I think that's the mutual respect that everyone understands to get to that stage. It takes.
Yeah. And I like the thought on how, like, they could be big and scary, but they're just teddy bears. It makes me think of like metalheads. And
100%.
They're cosplaying as mean people, but they're actually the nicest people. And I do follow some people like that are strongmen and bodybuilding just because I'm just pure curiosity because it couldn't be further from what I'm interested in personally. But I definitely respect it. And when you say discipline too, like that's the ultimate word that I think about when it comes to dialing in all your nutrition and stuff like that. So we'll definitely segue into that in a bit too. But so from there, how did you find, you talked about, starting to build up your running, this and that. How did you find OCR?
So backtrack a little. So at 30, I started OCR, but I've done a couple like 5K Tough Mudder. I did a 10-mile Tough Mudder. I did a couple 5Ks, but at like 28, I did a half marathon. Hated it. I literally have me crossing the finish line. I like wanted to die. My wife is like, "You did it. Yeah, your first half marathon." And I said, "I'm never doing this again on video." And then, pain goes away, days go by, and then you start to realize I can't be that bad. Like I can't be that bad. That was horrible. So then you sign up for another, you do another, you beat your time. Then you say, well, if I could do that, I can do the marathon. And then the marathon I did once. And I was like, I have no interest in doing one of these ever again. Just running straight distance. It was just not me. And I wasn't that fast. And the injuries running like straight long periods of time was just bad for me. It inflamed a lot of stuff up. So that's when I looked at, I'm like, ooh, New Jersey has a Spartan Beast. It's a half marathon. I'm going to train for the next 6 months and I'm going to do a beast because it's a half marathon, right? And I didn't race it. I did it I've met a couple people there, did it. It took me like 6 hours or something like that. And I was like, I really like this. And what I missed the most, and I know it's cliche because probably talk about it 1,000 times in OCR. Everyone talks about it. But it was when I got there, I'm like, I missed the hype up of just walking around before. And everyone's like, yeah, let's go. And then like the hype up of the community and people just getting excited at the start line, you're seated and everyone's walking around with their medals and they're all hyped up. It was just, I think at that point I was going through like a depressive state after that back injury. I took a 50% salary cut with a job I didn't really want to do because we moved and the injury and then, personal stuff was going on. So it was kind of a lot of negativity in my life. And then that's what sparked it to be like, oh, this would be fun. And then from that goes half marathon, Spartan Beast to the next year. I'm like, ooh, I want to do my first one. So I go to Fayetteville to do my first ultra. I fly down. My uncle's like, this is crazy. I've never seen anyone do this. So he was like a cool hype up, stayed at his place. And then now you're starting to like, it's weird, right? So it helps me build confidence. I started to be good at something else. Something intrigued me. And then this is ego. I think everyone has a little ego and I think you need a little of it. But all of a sudden people when I used to do bodybuilding, they're like, wait, Jeff, you won your pro card as a bodybuilder. You did years of competing, years of doing this. Now you're doing this 30-mile Spartan race. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, so then it you get a little bit more compliments. Cause I'm coaching clients at this time. I got people and luckily I've had a lot of support through it all. So a lot of hype up. So then I just start documenting it and then you get more excited because people are excited for you and you're rooting for yourself. And it became that thing. And then did Fayetteville. And then I was like, well, I want to go back to Jersey and I'm going to do the ultra there. Did that. And it just kept compounding of, can I beat my time at Jersey? And then what really kicked off was my friend Beth did Worlds and she got like 70 miles. And I'm like, that sounded absolutely insane to me. It didn't even make any logical sense. And it's funny until you do something, it sounds absolutely absurd. So then that's when I was like, I'm going to try Worlds. And my wife's like, what are you talking about? And it was one of those, I want to get 50, get 75. Long story short, got 60 my first year, was pretty happy, but I was a miserable person to be around and I treated my team pretty poorly. And I vowed to go back the next year and I'm like, I'm not going to be an asshole. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be.
It's a good goal. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to get 75. So I trained a full year. I'm like 75 or die. Like, that's the plan. And ended up getting 75 the following year. And that was the best, even over my pro card and stuff. It was the biggest accomplishment I've ever done. Because it was just a different type of challenge. And it was outside my comfort zone significantly more than the bodybuilding because I was just never good at it. And I feel like I didn't know as much as I did with bodybuilding, but very, very cool. That's how it all kind of spiraled up. But at the end of the day, man, it was always just trying to get better. And like, that's the thing. And I hit a certain point and then that's when I kind of transitioned to new things. Like now I want to try something a little different. I still want to go back, and I still want to get better. But like now you get a certain limit, and then you're like, am I willing to train and do this, or do I want to go to a new avenue and try something else that I can get better at?
So your first OCR being the New Jersey Beast, not one of the easier beasts out there.
No.
Did you have your teeth kicked in at all? Was there any like moment of like I'm in over my head, or like?
It was funny. Having a nutrition background and knowing how to coach. So what I was really good at as a coach was I know how to get body fat off people. I know how to maintain muscle, and I know how to do it slowly, and I know how to build muscle and do it slowly. So if you give me enough time, I can help you get really strong and build muscle. And if you give me enough time, we can lose a lot of body fat in a healthy way. But I didn't know how to fuel to perform endurance. So I didn't go with a pack, right? So you're out there for 6 hours. You're relying on aid stations, like all the stories you hear. You got an orange wedge here and there, a half a banana there, a couple gummies, a bunch of water, and then you just struggle. And I finished it, but I wasn't. That was horrible, and I was really tired at the end of it. But it didn't push the pace. It was like I took time. I waited with some friends. So I remember being at the end of it like, I'm starving, I have a headache, and I'm really fatigued, but it wasn't like I blasted myself. So when I finished it, it wasn't like I wasn't going to ever do it again because I knew I didn't really give 100%. It was when I went back the next year is when, you start to really start to feel it. Or Fayetteville was the first time I really, because I did one beast and I'm like, I'm going to do an ultra. And that's the Fayetteville race in the 90-degree heat and the humidity, and that one took me like 9.5 hours that year. That was the rude awakening, getting kicked in the nuts. That's what it was, dude. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I that I had a tough time at the New Jersey Ultra, but Fayetteville, I heard it's super hot, and I am not a fan of heat. Worse than elevation for me is heat. So,
dude, it's one of those you pee and it's like dark yellow, and you're like, what? Again, didn't know nutrition, fuel. I knew nutrition, but not endurance enough. What I will say is like Jersey just eats your legs up. 10 to 12,000 feet of climbing, your quads, your calves. You are cramping. But it's interesting. But I also wasn't trained for it. I said I was going to do it, but I didn't run hills. I didn't do mountains. I just like jogged on the street or jogged on the trail that was flat. Time on feet I got, but it wasn't really, really hard training. And then you start to learn what it really takes, how much time on feet it takes to be like good. And then you see these guys, the Christian Brown Johnsons, the Fioris, the Ruccos, these guys that are putting in 100-mile weeks, and it's like, holy crap.
Yeah. And actually speak to the DNF experience too, because when you keep shooting for the stars, like eventually you're gonna miss. Like eventually something's gonna happen. Also,
I'm still messed up from it. It's funny. So recap to that world. So train for a year, world's toughest mudder, man. Like I'm going to worlds. I want 75 miles. That's my Super Bowl. There's a great book called What's Your Everest? That was my Everest. I want 75. I want a year of training. I have to do it. And that was, again, the best accomplishment of my life. But you know this, and I'm sure she felt this too after her last Worlds. Like you have this low, man. You have this, I just did something I never done before, and now I have to wait a long time to do it again. If ever do it again at the same level I did it. And you don't know. And for me specifically, I hit 75. And then the question was like, if to train a year to go back to get 80, like, is it really that satisfying? Because it's so much work. So I was like this lull for a while, and I just didn't want to run or train anymore. So from like November at Worlds all the way to April, my running was not great. My training was low, probably half the volume as it should have been. And then I walked into Jersey, and my best time at Jersey was a 10:04, and that was 2 years ago. Then I ran a 10:17, and so I was like coming back. I'm like, I want to break sub 10. And I really, really want to do it. But at the back of my head, I kept saying I want to do it, but I knew deep down, my heart wasn't even in it. But I was like, I already signed up, and I documented the whole dang journey on social. Now I have to show that I can do it. And the irony is I got halfway through, and I'm like, because I wasn't in a good headspace going into Jersey, like even the morning of, driving down, I'm talking to Kat, and I'm just sitting here and I'm saying, doesn't feel like we're racing tomorrow. I'm like, I don't even have like all my gels really. I'm like, I'm kind of running off random electrolytes. I didn't have like my plan. I'm like, I'm just going to kind of like see how I feel. And it just wasn't, when I'm very like obsessive. So I'm like, I have a plan. So instantly going into it wasn't good. I saw you before, we took a picture before, and I just wasn't ready for it. And then when it started to get hard, if you're mentally not there, you're in trouble. So, and funny enough, I was running it like I was going to pace to hit my time, but it didn't happen. Like I broke down, I think at like mile 13, 14, and we had to get to 17 before the halfway mark. And then I walked the rest of the way, and I sat down for like 20 minutes on course. And then I called it at halfway. I called my wife and I'm like, I'm done. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm done. That's it. And it was rough because it was the first time I truly, it was just, my heart wasn't in it. And and then I got in my head about, even if I want to finish, if I finish with like 12 hours, for me, like 2 hours behind my goal pace, like what's the point? And that's the problem. What you're saying is the better you get, the expectations get higher, the fun starts to leave the sport, because if you're not living up to your own expectations now, it's not fun. So that became tough, and that was the struggle. So I redeemed myself a month later, but that specific race, I was hurting, and I said I was done for the year. Like, I'm done. And then a couple weeks later, I look at my wife and I'm like, I have to do this. And she's like, you didn't train in 2 weeks. You literally have a week of training, and you didn't train before that, and you already DNF'd. But I was like, I have to do this. And that's when I went to the Infinity in Philadelphia. And I was like, and I'm like, I'm gonna just I'm not gonna know how far I'm gonna go, but I'm not quitting, and I'm going the full time, and I'm gonna push best I can and rest when I can and just work it. And I think I came in ninth of like 101 or something like that, and got like 33 miles. So it all worked out. But since then, man, it's still like the excitement to train isn't there, because I know I'm so far behind, and I have to build so much up to get to where I want to be.
Yeah. I mean, that was my first DNF. And it does hit you. You mentioned ego earlier, and I wouldn't see myself as a very egotistical person. I'm very like timid, very laid back, this and that, but it fractured a part of me for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And before it too, I do remember that, people ask like, how do you feel? How do you feel? And I felt calm, and I never feel calm before a race. It could be a 5K charity run, and I'm still nervous. I got some issues going on, but the worst thing was I put everything into training for that, and the elevation still beat the hell out of me. But anyway,
no, but I get it. The question is, when you get into that headspace, is it like, it's funny. My master's is in sports psychology. So this is also, when you talk about beating yourself up, I literally did a master's degree in mental performance anxiety, motivation, visualization. So it's like, I know all the cues. I know how to coach it. I know how to write a mental performance plan. I know how to do visualization work. It's like, it's funny because I have all the skills. And then when you fail, you want to talk about like subconsciously being embarrassed. When I have to make a post that hundreds of people were like reaching out to me and following my journey about me hitting a PR, and then I have to say the mental performance coach athlete quit. It's a weird struggle, that's like an embarrassing, frustrating punch in the face, like you were kind of saying.
Yeah. I mean, I know what it's like to document everything as well and be public in front of hundreds of people. Like, yeah, your boy quit.
But if you want the praise, right? If you want the praise, you have to do that.
Exactly. So moving from the lows, what have been some of your favorite moments, your highlights in the sport, right? You talk about, getting your silver bib at World's Toughest Mudder. That's huge. What have been like the other like defining moments in, I guess, not just OCR, but athletically so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we talked about that one. I mean, that's number one by far, the biggest. It's setting a goal out for a year that takes a lot of work, and then undergoing a lot of setbacks, and doing a lot of runs and training on days you really don't want to do it, in the dark, early in the morning, you're tired, you're fatigued, whatever it is, right? And then having the moment where I wanted to cross the finish line and have it videoed and have my wife there, and I told her I want to hug you crossing the finish line at 75 miles and coming in that time. And that's the number one, because it was like a team effort to keep, this more than anybody, right? It's the team effort to keep you moving. And it's just, when you say you're going to accomplish something really hard and you follow through and do it, there's no better feeling. And then again, we kind of touched base, but the pro card was another thing, because the journey to get that, I mean, there's a lot of lifting and training, but I was in my senior year at Springfield College, and I went to school from 22 to 26 for my undergrad. So I was 26. I was a senior in college, and my prep started in like March, and my competition show was in September. So, or like maybe even January, February, maybe in February. So I was graduating, prepping, weighing food out, going to school. And then after I went to school, I moved down to Boston for my internship, and I lived on this little shack with these two guys that I didn't know. Both didn't speak English. We each had our own room in this little apartment, and I didn't have a car, so I was biking to the grocery store. I was biking to work, and I kept telling myself, like, I'm gonna win this pro card. And I was saying the same thing after I came in second. I came in second the year before after 27 guys, and I'm like, I'm coming back next year and I'm gonna win, whatever it takes. And that's kind of when it ended up winning the show. But the journey to the biking, and I was a pool boy on the weekends, like lifeguarding thing, and then I was working 2 shifts and not sleeping a ton, but making it all happen. And kept telling myself, I'm like, no one else is. Again, this is what I say to myself, and I do this on runs and stuff too. And everyone's probably already doing this, but if I don't see people on a run, I'm like, they're not out here with me. They're not working as hard as me. And I just have to say what I have to say. So bodybuilding, I was like biking in the rain to work. I'm like, no one's on their bike doing cardio, biking into work. Everyone's in their car. Like, no one's working harder than me. So again, it was just a mental game. But those are my 2 biggest moments getting the trophy, because I was the skinny, scrawny kid growing up. I was the insecure, not smart, scrawny kid. And now the kid that was too scrawny, got picked on for being skinny, is stepping on a bodybuilding stage and winning a pro card. So that was really, really rewarding. And again, that was a little bit of a middle finger to some people. And on the days that were hard, I did use that. But at the end of the day, it was just proving yourself right. Those are the biggest 2. I'm trying to think. There's from the racing to the OCR to the marathon. You know what's interesting? It comes to my head. It's like the couple of different clients that I had over the years. Like, it's not my own personal goals, but to see, to almost live through some people that do these like really, really cool feats. I thought of my uncle, overweight guy, not in shape, really couldn't run more than a 5K, and helping him lose weight, and then running his first marathon and half marathon back-to-back years with him. So we did like a half marathon and then a marathon. So that was like a proud, exciting moment to like get it through it with him, and how grateful he was. So like my own sports endeavors, those are the big 2. I remember, I'll say this one last thing. I remember vividly, this is funny going back, it just popped right into my head. Being in Little League, 12 years old, being like the star baseball player, on the all-star team. And this is one of the cool moments, I think, of my Little League career. Because my dad coached his whole life. I remember going back, we went to an all-star tournament when I was 12, went down to Cape Cod. So it was like a 3-hour drive down to Cape Cod, and I was going to miss my all-star tournament. But my dad got me up at 3 a.m, put me in the back of the car. I laid in the back of an old station wagon, slept. He drove me 3 hours off our vacation to go to an all-star tournament. I ended up pitching a really good game and hitting my first and only all-star home run that game. And I vividly remember how cool that was. And I guess maybe it comes to my head because it was like like my dad came out of the way. We drove down and off. We went on this road trip just for my tournament, and having my one moment. And it was a cool thing, right? It was just one of those things that stick with me. And then I look back as like wanting to be a dad sooner than later. And I'm like, man, those are the cool moments to have. So like sport moment, but like to have those moments for my clients, myself, or your kid, like those are awesome memories.
Yeah. I mean, what a great role model, because like to show that sacrifice can get you the things that you really, really want. If you want it bad enough, you're willing to sacrifice for it. And your dad probably sacrificed a lot of sleep. So that's pretty sweet. I think that's a perfect time to pivot to the personal training. So we'll get to MMB performance coaching. Mm-hmm. We'll start. What does the MMB stand for again?
So it's funny. It used to be just Moulton's Mind and Body, right? So my last name's Moulton, and I was like, I want to come up with a business name that has to do with your mindset. And while you work out, you have to work your body. So I was like, oh, Moulton's Mind and Body. We're going to call it MMB. So that's just what it was originally, is Moulton's Mind and Body. That was just the name of the business. I was like, Moulton's Mind and Body, Moulton's Mind and Body. And then it turned MMB. And then once I finished my master's in sports psychology, I wanted to target more like athletes or a little bit more performance-based coaching with nutrition and training. So then it came MMB performance coaching. So instead of just Moulton's Mind and Body, it was MMB performance coaching. And, so it's got my name, a little bit of mental, a little bit of physical, and then just the performance side to it.
And then a quick reminder to my wife that it is not Mark Battress's, because she's like, oh, it's his initials. I'm like, there's a lot of letters out there.
It's all good.
So I guess kind of a loaded question. Who is your ideal client for MMB performance coaching?
Yeah, it's so funny, man. So I think it's the difference of so this is where I think as a business I'm trying to niche into a little more, but what happens is I say the 75% of the business and the people I work with are body composition or fat loss clients. Right? There's people that's like probably 75% of the business. So people that either haven't worked out in a while, usually the online business, which is MMB, is usually like a 28 to 40, 45-year-old male or female, slightly more females than males because males have egos and they want to do it on their own and they don't want help. So women are way more likely to ask for help. So they do. So I would say in that 28 to 45-year-old range, people that maybe don't work out or haven't worked out in a long time, they've put on some weight, they're not feeling confident or great about themselves. They haven't worked out since their early 20s or even high school. They maybe have a kid or two and just haven't prioritized themselves. So the people that really want to just start taking control of life and feel good again and feel more confident in their own body, that's the base of my clientele. So it's fun to see those people lose 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds, get a bunch of stronger, build some muscle, and then just become fitness is a huge part of their life. And then they kind of learn how to do that from a nutritional standpoint. So it's a lot of teaching. So that's really fun. The other 25%, if you want to use that realm, are more of the performance people. Those are like the really fun ones you can push. So like I had a person that just did a bodybuilding competition. I had another, and I have another one coming up in 5.5 weeks. I have 2 girls that are doing like marathons, and then I have 2 other women in their like 50s that want to learn about nutrition and how to perform. It's funny, right? Now, look, 5 years later, I couldn't do it with myself, learn, research, educate, and now how to take the things that I already knew and implement them into the performance side. So now teaching them how to fuel and run and do that kind of stuff. So it's kind of, I have some strength people, and then you have a few people that just go, hey, I'm already pretty fit, but I want to like take it to the next level and build more muscle and just focus on getting stronger. So I do have a combination of a few endurance athletes, a few like half marathon runners, a few people that compete in the sport of bodybuilding, and then just a few people in their, usually it's 20s and 30s that want to just get stronger and build muscle and maybe lose a little bit of body fat in the process. So yeah, it's definitely the core is fat loss and the rest is kind of in body comp stuff, but it's fun. I'm glad it's not all the same because everything's a little bit different and you kind of get to dabble in 2 different niches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then having a slogan too of, chase discomfort.
Yep.
I think that's a good slogan to have, but what exactly does that mean to you?
It goes back to the thing. Growth comes from being uncomfortable, man. Like the only way you're going to get better in anything you do could be starting a business. It could be starting your fitness journey. It could be anything, right? You have to get uncomfortable. So for me, from the fitness side of it and what it really means to me is, every client I take on, every person I work with, every person at the gym, the only way you're going to get stronger, fitter, healthier, build more muscle, improve your blood work, improve your health is if you're going to put yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable. So you have to chase the sets that make it hard. You have to chase the runs that make you uncomfortable and do the things that make you uncomfortable. It's the only way you're going to get better. You're going to grow and you're going to achieve like the fitness goals that you have is chasing after the things that make you uncomfortable. That's so for me is, someone will be in a session and they're like, man, I chased discomfort today. I'm like, you did, you pushed really hard because if you came in and didn't chase discomfort, you're not really getting that much. You're getting better, but you're not getting what you want. You're on and you're doing intervals on a track. You better chase that feeling of being uncomfortable because it's the only way you're going to get faster. If it's not uncomfortable, it's too easy and you're probably not getting better. And I think it just kind of, it's like a short-term discomfort for a long-term pleasure,
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I'm sure there's a lot of like negative outlooks. There's a lot of wrong ways to do things too. So how difficult is it trying to like essentially rewire people's brains and teach them more beneficial behavior than like the ruts that they might.
Dude, it's all mental.
Yeah,
that's partially why I went back for school for the extra. It was an exercise in sports psychology degree, and it was like partially it was credential, partially it was learning more. But after you coach for a while, I'm not reinventing the wheel. You know, like any coach that goes, I got an amazing special program, they're just lying. If we're being honest, like you could go on and go to ChatGPT and write you a really good strength conditioning program and running program and have go to calculator.com and do your calories and macros, and I could do almost probably similar to what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, like they're not, they may think they're hiring you for that, but they're hiring you for the accountability, the emotional support, the person, you might be the only person that actually has confidence they can do it, that maybe their spouse isn't supportive, maybe their friends aren't supportive. Maybe they need you on the highs and the low days, the days that they cheated on their meal in their head, right? They think all of a sudden they ruined everything because they ate that. And at the end of the day, that's not the case. It's nothing, it's compound interest. Small things, one bad day won't hurt you, and even a few days won't hurt you. And at the end of the day, you got 30 days a week, or 30 days in a month. So if you had 25 good days, why are we complaining about the 3 or 4 or 5 bad ones? And I think that's the difference of, that's coaching or not, right? There's the difference of going to ChatGPT. They're like, well, why? I could just write a program and do nutrition. I'm like, cool. Is ChatGPT going to shoot you a text or talk to you when you're having a tough day, right? You're paying for that. And that's once I've learned and been okay with that, because at the beginning you want to make these cool programs and make sure they're like, and like, oh, they're just better. And it's like, they're not. Like I do push, pull, legs. I do upper, lower. I do runs. I do lunges and squats and deadlifts just like everybody else. But how we approach and frame our mind on every goal that we hit, I think that's what the coach starts to separate. And then knowing how to communicate with your clients, that is so huge. And what verbiage, what tonality, like what days they need to push and don't need to push, what you say and how you say it makes so much of a difference. And that's what differentiates you from like hiring me as a coach or hiring ChatGPT as a coach, or someone who's just getting into it. And it took me a long time to be even confident to say that, because I didn't know what I was good at, and I wanted to like impress. So I would step outside my lane, and now I'm okay being like, hey, I'm not a D1 strength conditioning coach, but like this is what I know, and I can help anybody in some type of way. When you get to a certain level, I'm not coaching Christian Brown Johnson. It's not happening. Yeah. Now, if Christian wants to get jacked or lose some body fat, I can be his body comp guy. But I'm not coaching him, and I'm okay with that. I used to not be okay with that. I felt like I wasn't good if I couldn't coach everybody. Yeah, and it's that wearing of like multiple hats that you mentioned too, where in part you are part therapist when people need it too, and it's got to be. It's never difficult having that. You need a little bit of a barrier, but like not too much. So like finding that balance of like, hey, I'm here for you, but like, does it ever go over the line for you? I guess. Yeah, it's funny. I don't run into situations, you hear a stereotype. This maybe not even the direction you're going, but I'll get this out of the way quick. But you hear a stereotype like, men trainers and female trainers and all this different stuff, right? There's this little dynamic. The only dynamic I run into, like I've never had an issue with like that side of it. I've had a few scenarios like that where I've had some women clients and the boyfriend or something doesn't want to have a personal train, like a man coach and stuff like that. But that's very rare. But none of that's really like a big deal. Sorry, repeat that one more time. I went on like a different, my brain's, we're talking about fatigue and being busy with everything. My brain isn't working. Valid. I know you've had a long day too, but like, I was just kind of thinking of like, you are their therapist, but it's also like dealing with people trauma dumping versus like, here's like hit the relevant, variables here. You have to learn as a coach to minimize that. I think you need to listen, but you also, they're not hiring you. Some may think they're hiring you to be a therapist, but a good coach will listen, but they don't buy into that. You know what I mean? They're going to feel like, so if you're just complaining about how horrible your day was and, oh my gosh, and my job, my first reaction is I'll listen. I'm like, hey, I hear you. Sounds like you had a really tough day, but I almost diffuse it right away now. It goes, well, you had a tough day, but hey, what is something that went well today? Like, what was a win? How can you, and I'll be like, how can we reframe our mind to let that go and go back tomorrow? Like, it's one day. So it's almost I diffused. I won't not let them go down that hole, but if it turns into like 3, 4, 5, 6 texts of just like, okay, so that I'm like, you got it out. Now it's time to let it go and move on into the next day. Cause now we're focusing on what we can't control anymore. right? It's like you listen, and it's different from a one-on-one personal training session to an online client. A one-on-one personal training session is paying me for that 1 hour. They're paying it 75, 80 bucks, 90 bucks for that session. If they want to vent in the session, I'll try to switch it, but like they're paying for that time. An online client is just texting me, blowing my phone up. Like they are paying for it, but not really. So I don't want to spend hours, of time doing that. So on online clients, I'm trying to diffuse the text and messaging pretty quickly. In person, it might, be a little bit longer. And then eventually I'll be like, hey, let's get back into our set. Let's get rolling. If you want a next set, let's in our 15, 30 second increment, we'll talk a little and then we'll jump back in. But yeah, it's hard to balance that because with the problem you run into, man, and you see a lot of coaches, they become really good friends with their clients, which I am, but then their workouts decline because they're talking so much. The workouts aren't going as well. They're not getting results. And then they really like you, but they got to move on from you now. And that's a big problem too.
Absolutely. And then another thing you touched on too, which is a big factor with my job too, is like intent versus impact. You can say what you're going to say, but you have to analyze how they're going to perceive it. And I'm sure training bodybuilding, clientele and just anybody weight loss, like you got to be careful about like how you say the things that you need to say.
Yeah. Well, you got to be careful because the other thing too is if you don't, a good coach, which I've made this mistake for, they're scared to ask like deep questions and then they overthink how they're going to ask them. But like a lot of these people you're working with, almost all of them in some type of fashion, some type of body dysmorphia, eating disorder behavior, maybe eating disorder in general. And all these different, like you could argue like slight different disordered eating and things and working out and all this stuff going on. So a lot of coping mechanisms that they're using food and all these different things for. So you have to really like dive into the psychology side so much because it's a game. It's always a game. And you talk about bodybuilding. Most of the people that want to do bodybuilding usually have some massive body dysmorphia, and a lot of women specifically I see have like really bad eating disorder behaviors. And then you get someone who's like had anorexia or binge eating and something that they didn't really tell you too much about or you didn't dive too much into, and you're gonna bring them down to like 10% in females, 5% in male body fats, and their hormones are jacked up, and they're going to see how lean they are. Even then, they're not going to think they're lean, even though they're extremely lean. And then when they're done, you got to go, we need to put on 5 to 7 pounds of body fat in the next like 4 to 6 weeks. And they're like, what? And you're like, no, we have to because you're lost your menstrual cycle and you have to put on body fat because this isn't healthy. And you're going to tell someone who just worked really hard to get lean, who has an eating disorder, who wants to stay lean, to put on fat. And you have to put on fat, not muscle, fat. That's a hard thing to work. So it is delicate, even how you say things. And if you say a thing that maybe makes them feel wrong, all of a sudden, here's one example, right? First time in my 12 years of coaching this happened. I had an online client a year and a half ago, sent a text message, and she read it wrong. She was working with me for like 2 months. She literally made a Facebook post about like a testimonial for me days before. And then I checked in with her, and the way I said something, she interpreted wrong. So how you even verbalize your text and preference your text, she thought I was like laughing at her, and I was saying something in a completely different tonality. I literally went on, blocked on Facebook, blocked on Instagram, canceled her account, all within like 10 minutes.
Ooh.
And that was just because I sent a text the wrong way. So it's like, as a coach, you got to really be careful how you word things. And I thought it was fine. I showed my wife, thought it was fine, but she took it a way that I was like, oh, she might have took it like this, maybe. But I guess, that happened once in 12 years. And it was like, made me feel pretty bad.
That's what I think of exactly too, is like text. Like I have a new supervisor now, and text can come off pretty blunt sometimes. And I'm a blunt person, but this is extra. So it's like, punctuation matters, emojis matter. It's ridiculous, but it makes sense. Yeah,
it was hard. It was. I felt really bad plus I lost $325 a month. That didn't feel good either.
No, I'm sure. And then we're gonna get to your gym and everything too. But like all of this effort that you put into it, because this is your job. How is it finding the balance of training yourself and doing what you need to do for your goals, and also balancing all the time and effort that goes into this?
I think my goals came first until 8 weeks ago, over the business a little, where I would get by with the business, but it would never grow that much because I just was playing the slow play game. And I was like, I'm making enough to pay the bills, but I'm not saving money. I'm kind of paycheck to paycheck, but I can always get a few more clients because I was working at a gym, and sometimes like I can get a few more and I had more flexibility. I was like, I trained 10 to 15 hours a week, and I had 12, 13 online. I can pay the bills. Between the two of us, we're good. And I could train, 2-3 hours if I needed to in a day. Now, when you're saying about the gym, I just like every hour I feel like I'm not, especially the first 2 months where we're in the red, all the money we took in, the loan we took out, like the bills, it's just, my training has went the last 2-3 months have been horrendous. Which is frustrating because then you feel like you're taking steps backwards, and you are your brand, you are the face, you're the guy that does all this, and now you're the one not being consistent. So it's a double-edged sword of like the one thing that everyone you're preaching to do, you're struggling to do yourself because you're trying to build the thing. So up to 8 weeks ago, I balanced it well, but I would say my fitness took a priority because my wife knew if I didn't have a goal or something on the calendar we're working towards, everything was affected because my mental headspace, I didn't feel driven and motivated. But that was also the driver of where my business came from, documenting the journeys to these races. So that's a hard thing too.
Yeah, no, it definitely speaks to, again, going back to the word sacrifice too. Like you gotta give up something. And
it's frustrating because it's mentally definitely been tough to like, because you're just, even when I go into the gym, having your own gym, you think, oh, you get to work out all the time. But when you go into it, I join a different gym still because when I'm in my gym, I'm like, I can do stuff on the computer. I can do stuff in the gym. I can't focus on my lift. I struggle with that. Maybe a quick workout, but I struggle.
Yeah, that's fair. So let's get into Force Fitness. How did you come to be the owner of this gym?
Quick version is I got a text on Instagram back in March from a woman basically saying, hey, I might have a cool opportunity for you if you're interested. If you're interested, feel like let's set up a time to talk on the phone. And I just thought she was trying to hire me because it was like, oh, this woman owns this gym and she was looking maybe for a personal trainer at the time. So I was like, yeah, I'll listen. And then we get on the call and she's basically told me she had some family stuff going on. And she wanted to get out of the gym and she's like, are you interested in buying it? Just out of blue, found me on Instagram. And she said that I used to work with or train a few of her members in personal training at one point. So she saw my Instagram, heard of me, and just took a leap of faith, kind of just randomly like to put feelers out. Fast forward after that phone call, we met at the gym with my wife. We're like, ooh, this is a really cool place. I like this. It's a group fitness gym, meaning like small group training, anywhere from like 4 to 10 people. And that's all they did. So what was unique in the timing is me and Bree talked about this, but like 4 or 5 months ago, we had a miscarriage, which was really tough. And then at that time, when we found out she was pregnant initially, I started to be like, hey, I got to get my shit together. I need to get my life together. I need to get work together. There's no more getting by. And then about a month after we lost the baby, we found out that we get a text message on Instagram from a gym that's 6 minutes down the road from us who does group fitness that is profitable, but not by much, but doesn't do personal training or nutrition. And she's like, that would be great things to put in. I'm like, wait, gym down the road, 6 minutes. They're not offering the two services that I currently offer, and you want to sell it, and you want to sell it within a few months. So then it becomes just a negotiation of price. And it took us a few months to get that figured out, but then it happened all within about 3 or 4 months. And then next thing you know, the gym I own is 6 minutes down the road, and we're starting to slowly implement personal training, nutrition coaching. And I will say what's been really cool, it's been overwhelming and terrifying, and I've already questioned myself many times. But what's been exciting about it is like it's weirdly given me a different confidence. And I think to the public, it's given me more of a validation of a lot of the other hard work that I've worked on. I feel like I've done a lot of work built. My wife used to say, and she's been the same thing, a ride or die supporter of like, you just, not saying you deserve more, but you work so hard and it doesn't show, like it hasn't shown financially yet. You haven't had that recognition. And the gym is starting to give me that recognition. I think that builds that insecure high school kid confidence that still comes, because I don't know if you're like this with anything, but I'm really good at working out and fitness, and you give me a goal, I will put in the work, and I 100% think I can do it. Like you give me enough time, I can do it. But I've never built a business and I've never been successful. So failure is in the back of my head at all times. When fitness, that's rarely, like eventually I will figure out a way to do it. So that's kind of how it came about. And now it's been, still terrifying, but the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden members are getting to see me. They're starting to enjoy it. I'm getting good feedback. The community feels more like mine, where at first it was someone else's gym, someone else's community, and I had to like win them over.
Yeah, you're like the outsider. And
Yeah.
you talk about the leap of faith that she had to take in finding someone, but the leap of faith that you had to take and as you said, like you're gonna be in the red. I don't care how financially like okay you are, like buying a business like that, you're gonna be in the red for a while. So dealing with what I imagine imposter syndrome must be somewhat so difficult, as a first time like gym owner.
Yeah, it's weird. It doesn't feel like so as I say I'm building more confidence with the gym. I think I struggle with it being already built and taking it over because I walk in, I'm like, Force Fitness. It's my gym. It's not MMB or whatever it is, right? So I don't feel like I built it. I don't feel like I built the members. I don't feel like I built the community. I don't feel like they don't have my brand and my catchphrases and all my mottos, and I'm implementing them in. Like I got members saying chase discomfort and stuff, right? But I'm struggling where I literally look at it, I'm like, it still doesn't feel like mine. It doesn't feel like mine yet, and eventually I think it will. But I think it's partially the branding, and then also again, people are like, I don't even know if I act excited because subconsciously there's this like fear of failure, but I still don't feel like I own a gym. And I remember it kind of probably replicates to like all these fitness events and all these goals, and it could be a podcast, it could be a gym, it could be a business, it could be a raise, it could be work. If you want this title in your career and you work your 10 years for it, and then they give you the title and you're like, it's not what I thought it would feel like, and that's kind of how this feels so far. I'm excited, but I'm terrified, but it doesn't feel like I made it, right? Everyone's like, you got your gym, and I'm like, it's not. When I can step back and be like, the bills are paid, money's coming in, staff is in place, I can step back and overview and be like, okay, we made it. Like it's doing its thing. I think that's where I got to be before. Right now I'm in like fight or flight a lot of the time still.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And it's one thing to, I mean, your stuff with nutrition because you've lived, ultra marathons, you've lived it. Bodybuilding, you've lived it. There's a lot of stuff that you've lived through, so you have that experience. But being able to like define what are some unexpected like barriers to like owning a gym and stuff that you didn't really think at first, or things that I'll use it. This isn't the exact number, but I'll just use a random number just for example. Let's say you want to pay $100,000. So let's say you get a gym that's breaking even, but it's not making much money. Let's say you go in the first day and it's net profits like $1,000 a month. So you're not making nearly any money, but depending on what the gym has in it, let's say it's got $50,000 worth of equipment, and then it's making like $12,000 a year. The way that business a lot of times works, let's say they want like $100,000 for the business, and let's say it's worth $100,000. Well, even coming in, like if you don't have any cash, which I didn't have any cash, you're taking out a couple $1,000 loan per month. So let's say $100,000 loan, a couple thousand, over $2,000 a month. So now all of a sudden that $1,000 profit per month is now $1,000 negative per month, and then you got like little things, man. The expenses have been terrifying. So like Eversource, like, oh, we want a $2,000 deposit on top of your normal bill for the year because if you don't pay us, we want to make sure of our money. Oh, your insurance is $3,700 a year. We want $2,000 in the first month up front. Like, oh, I have bringing in personal training. Well, my clients are used to this equipment. This gym is a group fitness gym. They don't have racks. They don't have a cable system, $5,000 to $7,000. So all of a sudden, like your savings account gets dwindled, even though you're taking loans out. You think you have enough money allocated, and then you're like little things. Like I wanted to buy some merch. I wanted to buy this. I got a pad. I got a bench. I got a barbell. The AC unit's having an issue. So I think the barrier of entry for most is the financial side, and then also I'm not doing this without my wife. She's the breadwinner. She makes double what I make, and if she doesn't co-sign a loan, we went to get a business loan, got denied because the gym wasn't making enough to get a business loan. And so we had to take a home equity loan. So we took like a huge loan against our house, like a second mortgage to do this basically. So one, it's having the ability to even get the loan is really hard. You have to have at least one or two of you that are, doing well. And then also like going into it, you are going into the red. So I think that's the hardest part is like the money up front, the amount of stuff up front. And then dude, the accounting, like right now I'm taking on like all this stuff. I've had lucky the owner's dad is basically an accountant, has been helping me. But now you got payroll. Now you got all the forms you got to create. You got personal training forms, liability forms, gyms forms. You got all the vendors, like 10, 15 different vendors from AC, electric, this, that. And then switching over the accounts over, and then all the auto bill. It's just, those are the stuff that's not talked about enough.
it's not even the hours of like, so it's like training. You're like, oh, I only train 3-4 hours a day. It's like, well, and then, oh, the gym lot. Then all of a sudden you wake up to 3 bills didn't go through. That's $450 in memberships didn't go through. And now they're not responding to you. And then you're like, I just lost four. It's just the stuff they don't talk about enough is the overhead up front. And then you hear people say like, oh, it's a lot of work. It's just, you're a firefighter putting out little fires consistently. And then when you have downtime, you need it. But at the same time, at the beginning, how are you going to market? How are you going to like reach out to people? Members aren't coming in. Do you reach out to them? There's all these little things that go through your head. So I think for me, the advice I'd give is you just got to come up with like a plan one day at a time and then try to execute like some wins each day and then realize you're not going to have huge wins every day. But if you have a plan every day and then like maybe every month what you want to focus on and then just try to like, over time, focus on those things because it's terrifying.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. And then speaking back to you being the outsider, with a whole new like clientele that you're not really used to, how did you like introduce yourself? What was that process like? Did you tell them your background and what are the thoughts on like OCR, bodybuilding, and all that?
So the owner was cool, at least in the aspect that we had like a month before the transition. Maybe I would say like 2 or 3 weeks, actually. It was supposed to be a month, 2 or 3 weeks. We sent a mass email out. Here's my resume. Here's my wife. Here's a picture of us in the gym. Here's my bio. Here's my dogs. I think what I tried to do is like give a brief background of myself and like all my expertise and everything I did. But then also what I didn't want to do is come off as like, I'm the new dictator and I'm going to change everything. And look how smart I am. So I kind of just wanted to go in and really like told them my main focus was to be very present. The last owner wasn't very present just because of her life. So I was like, I'm just going to be there every day. I'm going to show how chill I am. I just want to like listen to you guys, take advice. I'm willing, open to things. Here's the direction I want to take the gym. I just want to make it better. I'm not going to overhaul the things you like in the gym, but there's things we want to improve on. And then I think the biggest thing for me and like as a business owner that was like been the biggest wins for me is the being present. Like every day, even if I'm not training clients, even if I'm not teaching classes, like I'm there, and just interacting because like they get to see your personality and that's been huge. So it's been hard, but like the emails, the beginning, and then from day one, just try, and it's not faking it, but at all till you make it. But like I'm trying to make sure when I'm there, I'm making sure everything I say is very optimistic, positive. I'm trying to bring people up. I want to know everybody's name. Every time they walk through the door, every single person, we have like 80-ish members, every someone, hey, Tina, hey, Lily, how was your day? Like, oh, I had a great job today. I'll see you later. What's going on? Get to know them all at a personal level and actually seem curious and get to know them. And then I think that compound effect starts to happen. And they're like, oh, Jeff's a really nice guy. Jeff's a really nice guy. I've heard great things about Jeff. And because I'm actually interested in getting to know them instead of just like, oh, I need your dollar as a dollar sign.
Yeah, that goes a long way. I mean, you start to build a relationship with those people and they feel like they have something to gain other than, fitness and stuff like that. But like having a personal relationship goes a super, super long way. Caitlin
sure.
had some questions that you said something, so I have to, segue to it. Can we talk about Maple and Mo?
Yeah, Maple and Mo are my dynamic duos. So they're Mo just turned 7 yesterday. Or Sunday. So Mo's 7. I got Mo. Crazy, dude. So Mo is both golden retrievers. One's 7. Mo is 7. Maple is 3.5. She's Maple is the crazy, energetic little young pup that's probably going to be like 10 and still act like a puppy. Mo is like the old soul since like 4, who is like a regal golden retriever who has his moments of excitement, but he's just like a dude that just likes to chill. Those are my kids right now. Like, me and Bree had this conversation. It's kind of funny. And if you're a dog owner, you get this. And it was hilarious because people would be like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And me and Bree were like, okay, Bree, if there's ever a fire in the house and one of us are in the house with the dogs, go for the dogs first. We'll find a way to survive without, you know what I mean? Everyone's like, go in and save your spouse. Bree and Bree were like, already know, like get to the floor, find a way to survive. We're going for the dogs first. Like those are our babies. And they're the priority. Like I remember we missed birthday parties and family stuff because people are like, well, you can't bring your dogs. I'm like, well, we're not coming. Those are our pups. You know what I mean? Or they didn't want to come because we had pups. And I'm like, well, we'd rather have the pups than you. So, but they're the best. If I'm biased to Goldens, but Goldens are the best, cuddly, lovey, best things ever.
Good to know. And I know Caitlin agrees. It's funny.
Is she getting her dog?
So we're gonna get there. But we've had similar conversations with like the cats. So I'm much more of a cat person. We talk about like what would we do if there's a fire and the cats get the cats.
Get the cats.
But so yeah, you have heard then that Caitlin has earned a dog, and now we're in the market. So Caitlin wanted to know what made you adopt Goldens in particular.
So me and Bree agree. I think Labs, Goldens, but they're the best family dogs. They're just harmless. They won't bite you. They're kind of goofy, and they're not saying they're very smart, but they're dumb in their personality.
Yes.
So they're just lovey, dumb, smart, easily teachable, goofy dogs that just want to lay with you all the time and stay by your side and are just super fluffy like teddy bears. Like my Bree's goddaughter, when she was like 1 or 2 years old, would just like lay on him when he's laying on the side, just like he'd be on the ground and she's just like laying on him. And it's just, that you literally can, to show people that were scared. My mom was scared of dogs. Bree's mom was scared of dogs. And I would get little carrots and I'd hold it in my mouth and he would just take it out of my mouth. And I'd be like, look. And then now next thing you know, my mom's like letting him kiss his face and all that stuff. But it's just, they're so gentle and they're just like these little protector, but they're not like, I shouldn't even say protector because you could get robbed and they'd be like, hey buddy, like come in my house and play with me.
Yes.
Like they're not saving your house. Like if you're giving them food and someone tries to rob you, they're eating their food and you're getting robbed.
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife's background with the dogs has been golden retrievers, and I like Goldens. I basically married one.
They're the best.
They seem pretty great. So a little more behind the scenes. Before the race started, we saw a video. Someone sent us this thing of like, oh, this Golden it failed out of school because it was too nice, this and that. And we got back, pursued it, and it was going to be like $3,000 was the adoption fee. And like, that's a lot to risk. And
we paid $1,500, which was wild at the time. Now the prices are just climbing.
Yeah. So that's wild. But do they make good running / training dogs? And then
yeah. Just the heat. They get tired in the heat, but they are great. But they're like they love the winter. They love the fall. Like they're great. Like Mo, I got to the point before Maple came, he would jog off leash with me, like on the trails. He would love it. Like, and then he'd launch himself into the lake, but no, they're great. They're great. Like, they love to be outside. They love to run. The summer's just brutal because they're just fur balls. The big thing I will say, the biggest mistake people make in the summer, and it's my biggest pet peeve, is they shorten their hair and cut their hair.
Skin infection, right?
Not just that. They actually, so if you talk to any like vet, they'll say don't shave, because this is funny because groomers will shave them down like to like lab level hair.
Right.
Because like, oh, they're hot. But it actually, they are like machines. They self-regulate really, really well with the fur. So when you cut the fur, now they actually overheat faster. So it's like they self-regulate their heat. So if you get a Golden, just let them be fluffy and furry, get them groomed and trimmed, but don't like shave them down because they regulate their heat way worse, and it's more dangerous for them. But a lot of people do it thinking it's better for them.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. And it's tough too because all my life I've wanted, because I love the way they look, Huskies, but I've heard nothing but like,
oh, dude, they're a lot of energy,
yes,
and
too much.
They're a pain. They're sweet, but very protective, very high energy, love to chew, love to rip. They're sled dogs, dude. They want to pull.
Yeah. So that's why we wouldn't be going in that direction. And then personality wise, I'm more of like a German Shepherd. So we've looked at like how cute German Goldens, I forget what they called, German, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are cute, but eventually I think we're just going to go for like whatever we can rescue in the area. But
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's you get a puppy, and it comes down to how you bring them up. Like if it's tough because like we didn't adopt, right? We didn't rescue. We got a purebred Golden, partially because we just wanted a Golden. You're never going to get a Golden really from a rescue, and my Bree's best friend had a really bad situation with a dog that she rescued, and so Bree was like, I want a Golden. We're just going to do it. And it's funny because you get judged pretty hard. A lot of people are like, oh, you're a horrible person basically because you rescued. I'm like, well, the litter happened. Someone's got to have the dog. And like, yes, the dog's not in a horrible spot, but like, I also can't. It's funny. It's like one of those things where even like a charity, right? There's a lot of kids that and real people who need donations and stuff now, but you can't save everyone. And there's a golden sitting there, and they want a home and need a home, so I'm gonna bring them home and I'm gonna give them a good life.
Yeah,
and
fair.
you know, I can't save the world every time.
Yeah, absolutely valid. But yeah, that's a whole little thing that we're currently dealing with, and that we just the big thing is like we just need to make sure it's okay with cats because we have two cats, and there's nothing that would be worse than taking a dog in, giving it a home, giving it false hope, and be like, it's not working.
Oh
out.
yeah,
Like I would be devastated. So we gotta
feel
be
like
smart
a horrible human being.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, starting to come to a close because I can't believe we've been talking for so long. This has been great. I know you're super busy with your gym and everything. Do you have any events coming up? Anything that you're planning to do?
So, so small things. I've been planning for a while. So I have I think like a total between like 10K and 5K, the Berry race, right? The Spartan 5K and 10K. I'm not racing it. I'm gonna do the 5K and the 10K and I have a group at the gym that wants to do the 10K, a group at the gym that wants to do the 5K.
Nice.
So that'll be good. Just I think our gym had a population that was there's a bunch of runners, but then it was a different vibe. Like the owner had like one Spartan race and she said it was horrible and she hated it. So there was a vibe and stigma around how like horrible it was, where I'm the guy from day one. It's like, you can do it. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. Like, you don't have to be in shape. You can be out of shape. You don't have to be able to climb. Just do it. Like, I'm that person. So I have that. I might do my first DECA, which is fun because I never said I wanted to do DECA, but I was so burnt out from running. So I'm like, oh, what can I do in the gym that I don't have to run for a long period of time? So in Mass, I think Challenge Yourself Fitness, you know those guys?
Not too familiar.
So they were at the expo, believe it or not, like a year ago, maybe, and then they were at the expo doing the DECA. It's a small little gym out of Worcester, Mass, and they're hosting their first ever DECA Strong. They just got affiliated in Worcester, Mass. So they reached out, they're like, hey, do you want to be a vendor? Do you want to have a booth? Or do you want to come do the race? This is our first one. I think they're just trying to get enough people to show up because it's a small gym. So I told them I would support them. That was in like 7 weeks, in like September.
Oh, cool.
I think it's called Challenge Yourself Fitness. And then they just announced that UConn's having a big one.
Yes.
So I want to do UConn and try to get some people to come with me. And I think I'm going to do the DECA Fit there and then try to kill myself and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the DECA Fit. I don't know if I'll be running it, covering it, or what's going on with that, but I've been wanting to do that because there's more running, which that I can do. I'm not fast, but I can definitely get the running done more than the other stuff. Like the DECA Strong was brutal for me. I loved it as a team event because we could switch off, but like workout.
Oh, it's brutal. I did a test run the other day, and like the fact that the best in the world do it at like 12, 11 minutes, it doesn't even logically make any sense to me. And then I'll say this, the last thing, and then we can move on and finish up. But it was like, so I have that. And then next year I want to make a comeback, at Jersey, redeem myself and break 10. And then I'm going to stamp up my standard is all the races I've done, I've done like 60th at Worlds and like, not like crazy good, but like I'm good enough where I think I should have a podium, but like I'm in such a tough age category. You're probably similar. Everyone is monsters.
Yeah.
So, this year, if I finished in my goal, I would have podiumed for the first time in age group. So I want to podium first time ever in age group. I'll be 35 next year. So it's like, I'm in a tough category, but then, and then I want to do my first ever last man standing race last year. And I want to put 100 miles up in last man standing.
Those are fun. Like backyard ultra style.
Yeah. 4.2 every mile hour on the hour. I've been following it for like 6 years. And, after doing 75 at Worlds, I said, with enough training, I think I can do 100 miles.
It's nice because you can be slow more or less, but as long as you're like consistent, it's totally doable to suffer that way. I mean, I drove all the way out to Michigan to cover a last man standing race, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of, even though I didn't run it at that time.
For sure.
So where can people follow along with you, your gym, your personal coaching, everything online?
Yeah, so easiest way is Instagram, and Facebook. So Facebook's just Jeff Moulton. Instagram is Jeff_Moulton_. The gym is Force Fitness CT. So the Instagram's Force Fitness CT. The Facebook's Force Fitness CT. Website, same thing, Force Fitness CT. And MMB Performance Coaching is also the website. The hard thing I'm running into now is they're different businesses, they're different LLCs. If anyone wants to do online coaching on me, just reach out. You'll just end up going through MMB. If you want to do personal training, in-person coaching, you'll end up doing that at the gym. So as long as you reach out to me, they're basically just running as two different businesses, online compared to in-person coaching. So you're at the gym, you're part of Force, you're online, you're part of MMB. But yeah, forcefitness.com, CT.com, MMBperformance.com, and then the Instagram and Facebooks are all the same.
Awesome. And anyone that you'd like to thank?
I'm going to give a shout out because I have to give my shout out because my wife, right? You have to shout out the wife. But
right.
In general, I have to give a shout out because I think she won't listen to this, and she never listens to my podcast, but I'll shout it out anyway. But like I said, is the gym wouldn't happen without her. The races wouldn't happen without her. She's had blind belief where if I say I want to do something, she's not going to fight me on it. And she'll, she might be like, all right, how are we going to work this out? But the other day I just was simply like, hey, so I have a crazy idea. And she's like, oh boy, like, what are we going to do? And then it was nothing to do with racing, but basically if I have a goal, if I want to do something, she's a big cheerleader of mine. And it happened all the way. I've been together 9 years, married for 4 since college. She's always been like very, very, she believes in me more than I believe in me. So if I had the confidence she had in me, I'd be doing a lot better. So definitely shout out to her just because of the gym wouldn't be here, and I definitely wouldn't have accomplished all these big races and things like that.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up. Thanks so much for taking the time and wishing you luck with the coaching, the gym and everything. It's exciting.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate your time.
Welcome back.
Thank you for taking the time to come on the show, Jeff. I appreciated you being so flexible with your busy schedule because I know things were pretty hectic today.
And Jeff, thank you for convincing my husband that maybe we do need a golden retriever.
Maybe. 4 related episodes.
Episode 381.
New England OCR Expo, Part 1, Vendors. That was from 2023.
411.
World's Toughest Mudder 2024, Part 2, Race Day Interviews with Athletes, Volunteers, and Pit Crew, also from 2023, I think? Yeah. No, what?
No, 2024. It says that right there.
Yep.
And episode 432.
New England OCR Expo 2025, Part 1, Vendors. Did I mention how late it is tonight?
It's not that late.
Not as late as it usually is, but it's been a busy day.
9:29 p.m. Subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcasts. We are Obstacle Running Adventures on all the podcast players.
You say it's not late as my wife continues to get super, super loopy.
Leave us a review on that purple podcast app if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, that's okay. You can also leave us a review.
Jesus, okay. You can support us over on Patreon. Again, please join on the website and not on the App Store, since Apple will charge you more. Help us afford more travel costs. This one didn't cost anything to travel, but our previous World's Toughest Mudder did, so there's that.
Yeah, if you want more World's Toughest Mudder coverage next year, support us on Patreon.
Yes, please. Coming up next, one of 2 planned interviews. We'll see what happens with that. But Caitlin, this is a rare instance where I have both a joke, don't look, both a joke and a quote. What would you like first?
The quote.
Okay, that's going to be difficult because I have an audio thing. Hopefully they can't hear it and only I can hear it. So Seneca, who is one of the great thinkers of Stoicism, he was an advisor to Nero, who Stuff You Should Know talks about, and he said, "You are unfortunate, in my judgment, for you have never been unfortunate. You have passed through life with no antagonist. No one will know what you're capable of, not even yourself." So, yeah, I thought that was a good and fitting one for this week's episode.
I like that. No one knows what you're capable of, even yourself.
Pretty much, yeah.
You can go further than you think you can.
And the joke?
Oh no, I'm already unhinged.
What is this? Oh, there we go. So a woman visits her husband in prison. Before leaving, she tells a correction officer, "You shouldn't make my husband work like that. He's exhausted." The officer laughs and says, "Are you kidding? He just eats and sleeps and stays in his cell." The wife replies, "He just told me he's been digging a tunnel for months." Yeah, that'd totally be you, selling me out.
I would, but unintentionally.
Unintentionally. That just about wraps things up. My name is Michael Stefano.
And my name is Caitlin Ritter.
And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you're feeling motivated, inspired,
And ready to take on your next race or training run.
If you've enjoyed this week's episode, leave us a review
and share it with your fellow adventurous friends.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Obstacle Running Adventures.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Join us every week for more news,
Stories and interviews from the community.
Our intro song was Streaker by Straight Up.
Our outro music is Iron Paw by The Best.
What's up, dude?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Been having problems with microphones still, so.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't done the room. I took some stuff out of it. So does it sound echoey? Is it okay in the mic?
It's a little echoey. It's not bad at all. Perfect. We can end it there. Yeah, time flew. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to take up so much of your time, but that went really well.
No, it's fine. Well, like I said, we can go on tangent. I can go on tangents, so I'm not like a one-word answer kind of person. So it's
which I appreciate. Because there's no interview that's worse than like, tell me all about your race. It was good. Shit, man, you gotta tell me more. Come on.
I know that's why you married me.
Spousal privilege.
It wasn't the health insurance.
That too.
Oh, we're having a family podcast night. Hi,
It was.